Welcome to episode 138 of the Questlore series, Beneath Cursed Sands. To start this quest you must have completed Prince Ali Rescue, Gertrude's Cat, Icflurin's Little Helper, and Contact. You speak to Jamila in Sophodem, who acts a little strange, trying to sell you a ring, so as not to raise the suspicion of the guards. She shows you the gold ring, and as she puts it on your finger, she slips you a message, and then she takes the ring back saying, "Never mind, it's too small." The message tells you to head east by the cliffs to find a camp. Here is Mesa. She's no longer working for Osman, and she has found out that people are disappearing from Menethos and working to excavate a necropolis just south, but everyone is acting strange, working all day and night without rest, as if in a trance. You speak with one of the citizens who is in a haze, aiming to get the work completed. As you're about to report back to Mesa, you're stopped by the guards, who appear under the influence of the Devourer. After knocking them out of their hypnosis, the last thing they remember is that Pharaoh Chemesis of Menethos was going to hold an audience, but only a woman with deep red eyes was there. A mascot, the Devourer, has hypnotized the people of Menethos to dig up the necropolis to find a tomb. Humans with the head of insects coming from the northeast assisted, and then she entered the necropolis with monsters and the entrance collapsed. Back at camp, Mesa accidentally says something on the lines of dating Caliph, and that Osman didn't care for them. On the other side of these cliffs you might be able to find Scabarites, and in the meantime she will go to Nada and speak with her herbalist friend Zahor. Climbing up the steps to get to the cliffs, you find an ancient furnace and refuel it with some coal, then lighting it. You search the well and find a stone tablet. A cryptic message written on it says that the Zamarakians are coming, so a precious artifact has been locked in a chest and hidden under the southernmost ritual pillar. The code to unlock it is in the name addressed, which is Akham. Unlocked with the digits 1118513, you find a scarab mould. Back at the furnace, you melt an iron bar into it, making a scarab emblem. Up north, you inspect the pillar with a gap on its side, where you place the emblem upside down and you hear a click nearby. Inside the tomb, you defeat 2 scarab mages and then avoid arrow traps, pulling 2 levers within a minute of each other, unlocking the next room. The southern plaque gives you 4 emblems, and then you read the northern plaque with a riddle of which order to place them in the 4 urns. Once correctly placed, the door clicks open. Here you talk to a spirit called Mehar. After understanding that a mascot is digging up tombs just south, he is willing to help you. The tomb is the resting place of Mehar's father, Osmumton, who was the pharaoh of these lands during the time of the battle between the gods. He was offered powerful weaponry, but then when the war was over, he was tasked with hiding those weapons, lest they fall into nefarious hands. 2 of them were buried with him, and that is what the Devourer seeks. A mascot's only intent is for every soul, living or dead, to be destroyed, and the weapons in the tomb would grant her that godlike power. As the Scabarites have been disturbing Mehar's rest, he asks you to defeat the High Priest, who doesn't realize that he's a puppet for the Devourer. To free him of her control, you learn an incantation. In an urn at the back of the room, you find a rusty key. This unlocks the room with the High Priest, but just before you have the chance to say the final word of the incantation, the High Priest sets his champion on you. After you defeat him, you say the incantation, and the High Priest is free of the control of the mascot. He says that she has gathered the 4 demigods that came from Tumkum himself. As they share his power, she could claim it as her own and become godlike. Pharaoh Chemesis is also under her control. As the Scabaras are known to be isolated, the High Priest will remain here and fight any forces of the Devourer that appear. You find Mesa in Zahur's herb shop in Nada. The pox is easily curable. It was caused by cadaver bark, which causes spots when in contact with the skin. You update her on what you learnt. For the cure to be ready, Zahur only needs 2 more ingredients. Mesa will get the scarab venom, and you're to get a lily of the Elid from a small island just west. You give a crocodile some meat, and then he happily swims away. You now believe that you're firm friends with a crocodile, which you have decided to name Roger. Then you pick up the blue lily of the river Elid and head back to Nada. The heat levels of the equipment are set up, and she makes a few batches of the cure. The first batch is given to the High Priest of Sophonem, and then you meet Mesa near the necropolis. You say the incantation again, and all of the Menethors are freed from the hypnosis. The citizens offer to clear the blockage as you head back to Mesa's camp. Osman appears, aware that Caliph and her had a bit of a romance between them. You try to explain to Osman that there are larger forces at play, and that the rivalry between Menethos and Alcarid is secondary to that. He doesn't believe you, and then suddenly the earth shakes and Osmond disappears once again. You fight and defeat the difficult Menethite Ak, and now Osmond thinks that there is dark magic at play. You meet Mesa back in Sophanum, next to the High Priest, and the cure has worked. Soon they're meeting with Pharaoh Chemesis at the bridge. After an anticlimactic conversation, the possessed Pharaoh speaks little and stalls the opening of Menethos. Mesa gives you a spear with a keris on the end, which is probably a thank you gift from Osmond, and she gives you an enchanted circlet. You are rewarded with 50,000 agility XP. Mesa is going to head down to Osmondton's tomb, and she says you can meet her there. Join me next time where I'll explain the lore behind King's Ransom.